You can name right away 5 symbols related to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. The shofar, the apple and the honey, the round challah, and the fasting on Yom Kippur. But can you name something else than a sukkah on Sukkot? How about Shemini Atzeret and Simchat Torah? How are they linked? How are they celebrated? And why are their celebration one after the other? And finally, how are they connected? In this video, we will answer all these questions, and if you like this kind of content all about simplifying yet leading a more meaningful Jewish life, please consider subscribing. So let's jump into it. Let's put a pin in how Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Shemini Atzeret, and Simchat Torah are linked, and let's imagine the following story. Imagine a loving and righteous king that has been informed all year long about the state of the villagers, what they have done, how they behaved, but once a year he leaves his castle and visits the village himself to see what is truly happening in the village. How are they using their time? How they have worked? How they behaved? And based on what he heard and what he sees during his visit, he will decide what will be their faith for the upcoming year, how they will be taxed, what will happen to them. Of course, the village is preparing for the visit and rejoicing. They prepare themselves, wear their best clothes, prepare special meals, and are on their best behavior while the king is visiting, and even more so during these special private interviews that the king offers each one of them. It is an auspicious time at which they ask for forgiveness to the king. Because everyone knows that he is a loving and righteous king, they are happy to have spoken to the king and are sure that the judgment will be favorable. The king listened attentively, and finally he gives his final judgment to everyone on a specific day. Once that the period of judgment is past, because the king really loves his subjects and acts as a loving father towards them, the king wants to spend more time with the villagers in all simplicity, rejoicing in each other's presence. The day the king is supposed to leave, because he likes to be with his citizens so much, he asks to be with them one more day, meeting them again, giving them one last embrace before he leaves. And finally, as a farewell present, as the king is returning to his palace, the villagers all gather together, and because they delighted in the presence of the king and are so happy about this amazing time with their king, they want to show him that they want to learn more on how to get closer to the king even when he is not with them. Therefore, they study the book the king wrote on how to conduct oneself to grow closer to him. This is exactly what happens between Rosh Hashanah, when God, the King of Kings, comes closer to us, listening and looking at our behaviors from Rosh Chodesh Elul to Rosh Hashanah. On Rosh Hashanah, it is a pivotal time when we recognize God as the all-powerful, the one from whom everything emanates. Then, for Yom Kippur, God sits in judgment while we recognize our shortcomings and we admit our faults, and finally, He seals our fate for the upcoming year on Yom Kippur. After the high holidays, God wants to connect even more with us, and He gave us Sukkot. Sukkot is a holiday of immense joy where we express our complete trust in God. Sukkot commemorates that God is our ultimate protector, just as He protected us in the desert with the clouds of glory. We leave the comfort of our house and we live in a sukkah or a hut for 7 days. We remember that happiness is not outside of us, it is inside of us. During Sukkot, we celebrate that the only wealth that is permanent is our spiritual connection to God and His abiding love for us. Immediately following Sukkot is one more holiday called Shemini Atzeret. It is given a curious description in the Torah. On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation for you. It is a holding back, Atzeret. What does it mean to hold back? The Midrash explains, God says to Israel, I hold you back unto me. It is like our king who invites his children to a feast for a number of days. When it is time for them to depart, he says, "My children, please remain with me one more day. Your departure is difficult for me. We have just gone through Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot together. I have judged you, forgiven you, and shaded you in my protective clouds. And I don't want to let go of you so soon. Stay for just one more day." So Shemini Atzeret is the time to cease the busy activity of the holiday season and simply savor the special relationship with the Almighty. The next day is Simchat Torah, which celebrates the completion and new beginning of the annual Torah reading cycle. In the synagogue, all the Torah scrolls are taken out of the ark, and the congregation dances 7 circuits amidst great joy and song. Every one of us has his personal story, how he came to be who he is today, and what the Torah means to him. For the Torah is the possession of all of us. Since the Torah was created by God, it is wisdom that we can all study and grow from, and recognize its personal message to us. For when we dance on Simchat Torah, we celebrate the fact that we have been cleansed on Yom Kippur. We celebrate that God has once again forgave us, and we celebrate that the Torah is once again ours to learn. How should we act? Who should we emulate to grow closer to God? My blessing to all of us is that we continue to grow closer to each other, and ultimately to grow closer to the King of Kings, God. And if you like this kind of content, all about simplifying yet leading a more meaningful Jewish life, please consider subscribing. We do upload new content every week. Until next time, stay safe, stay blessed, and don't forget to from it up.